Hi everyone and welcome to the 2010 Ford Ironman St. George here in beautiful Utah, and I can tell you what, the community of St. George is abuzz right now, and it's in southern Utah, and we are on Friday, the day before the race. This is the ramp-up show brought to you by Ford Drive One, and like I was saying, the community has been really gearing up for this race. It was about 2 years ago where it was announced that the Ironman was coming into town, and it couldn't come soon enough. Tomorrow is race day, and over 2,500 athletes will be towing the line tomorrow morning at 6:30 when we kick off our show as well. Okay, joining me this weekend is Lisa Bentley, an 11-time Ironman champion. Lisa, welcome to Utah and welcome to Ironman.com.
Well, I'm loving being here. I'm loving being here in Utah. The people have been fantastic. The scenery is amazing. The mountains, I've just enjoyed it thoroughly. I like the weather to warm up a little bit. I'm a little cold. You know, us Canadians, we're not used to this cold weather, of course, being an Aussie, Kiwi Canadian. But the weather should be great tomorrow for the start of the race.
Yes, it will be, and the course, we're going to go over the course right now. The swim course is held out at Sand Hollow, and it's going to be the first event, our first discipline here, the 2.4 miles, and let's toss over now and have a look at our course. The Ford Ironman St. George, Utah will roll into town this Saturday, and Sand Hollow Reservoir will be the area for the first discipline, the 2.4 mile swim. They'll be doing a counterclockwise direction swim, just one lap.
It's a great location, but it's quite a ways away, and it's surrounded by mountains, red mountains, like typical here in St. George area.
They will then head out onto Sand Hollow Road up to Telegraph Street and head into town. That'll be 20 miles all the way into town. There's one nasty little hill on the way into town, but that's about it.
And then once you get over to Red Hills Parkway, we're starting into the bigger climbs. But then you get down into Ivans, and that's where I'll be eating a lot. And then once you get up to the Indian Reservation and past Gunlock, then we have Evil Mountain. And it's got to at least be a 10% grade.
And then they will get up to the highest point of the course at 4,700 feet. And then they go into a lovely little town, Vayo. And I tell you what, they've got a nice little pie shop in there too. Wouldn't mind stopping off there halfway through the bike course.
Well, a couple of the runners come in and they're like, okay, when we're turning the corner, we'll yell out and have our wives come out and bring us a piece of pie or a cookie or something, so.
They will head back into town on Highway 18, a nice downhill section, making it a fast finish for the first and second loops, and they will turn around and go back out for their second lap of 45 miles, totaling up to 112 miles for the two-loop bike course.
It's doable, even for an old broad like me. Old slow broad. So.
The run course at the Ford Ironman St. George, Utah, 26.2 miles and two loops. And I tell you what a beautiful course we have. You run straight out of transition area number 2, which is right beside the finish line, up Diagonal Road, out onto Red Hills Parkway. Absolutely beautiful to the turnaround point. At Pioneer Park, they'll be doing a little loop around Pioneer Park before making their way or retracing their footsteps all the way back down to the roundabout, which is at the finish line. They'll go and do another lap of the course.
There's a lot of climbing involved, but once you get on top of Skyline Drive, great views of St. George area, and it's a picturesque view, if I have a chance to look.
The run course is going to get up to about 3,200 feet here. They'll be starting at 2,750 feet, so there's a good little elevation gain there. A very, very difficult run course, but a beautiful one. The scenery here in St. George, Utah is unlike any of the others that we have in the United States. Beautiful red rock, and it will be very, very scenic the whole way around.
This rhubarb pie is for you, Welch. Come and get it.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful thing? Rhubarb pie, that's my absolute favourite. I tell you what, chuck a $5 in the back pocket, ladies and gentlemen, because during the race, if you're bonking or you're just blowing up a little bit, hop off the bike and go into the Vayo pie shop, and there you go, Bob's your uncle. Lisa, top 5 things to look for this weekend. What's your favourite?
Well, I love the run course. I have to say, I went out and I ran the run course, and I think there's a couple of good things about the run. First of all, you leave transition and it's pretty much uphill for a long time, probably a good 2.5 miles, and you think it can't get any tougher. but you take a right-hand turn on Red Hill Canyon Road and it gets tougher. It becomes about an 8% climb, and that's where you really have to focus. That's where you have to really grit your teeth and keep one foot on top of another and keep the turnover going and just keep reminding yourself that you're strong and that you can make this happen. And then you have to do it again on lap 2. So I think the key is to keep your head in the game and to think about all those great workouts that you had. It's a hilly run, and it's going to get pretty tough on lap 2.
Okay, and for me, coming out of the swim, I think is going to be my number 2. You took number 1, so I'll take number 2. So coming out of the swim, make sure you get your wetsuit off nice and quickly, head on over to transition area, and just be very careful about the way that you ride that first 20 miles back into town. That's going to be a hilly little section, and there is one little hill out there that is actually quite tough. So that's my number 2. What's your number 3?
Well, my number 3 takes us back to the run again, because that's one of my favorite places in the course. And, the downhill. After I turned around, I was thinking, oh, piece of cake. It's downhill all the way to town. And I almost, faded out in my head thinking that this is going to be so easy. And it wasn't that easy. First of all, you get the toughness on the quads going downhill for the steep grades. And then when you get on sort of the false flat, which is slightly downhill, it's easy to... Well, one of two things. You lose focus and you don't keep running at a nice tempo, or you run too hard and you continue to smash your quads. So, the athletes are going to have to think about what their tactic is going to be. I love downhill running, so I really like to smash the downhills, but that might not be good for everybody. So it's all about conservation of energy, conservation of muscles, and focus, like I said, with the uphill part.
Okay, you heard it from Lisa Bentley. She knows how to run a 3-hour marathon in these Ironman competitions in that third discipline. Number 4 for me, that would be going around on the second loop of the bike course. Make sure that this loop, you take it very, very carefully and make sure that you get all of your nutrition in to fuel up for the run course. So number 4, just have a level head going out of that second loop of the bike. Lisa, number 5.
Well, number 5, I'd say on the bike course as well. It's a difficult course. It's 2 loops. It's very easy to get excited. It is a beautiful, beautiful course. And I know when I get on a beautiful course, I get excited and I want to attack and I want to be aggressive. We have a lot of first timers out there. And you see those hills and you just want to take a big piece out of them. But you got to be careful. And the winds can pick up a little tiny bit. Expect it to be a little windier on the second lap than the first. So you got to keep a little energy in your back pocket for that second lap, especially with that wind, the headwinds coming back.
Okay, that's our top 5 things to look for. We're going to go over to the men's course right now and talk a little bit about our top liners here this weekend. And I tell you what, tomorrow is going to be a great race between our men because Kirill Kotshegarov from Estonia, he won the Ford Ironman Florida last year. Looks like he's back with a vengeance. He's only 23 years old, and this kid knows how to go fast.
He certainly does go fast. With the fastest bike split at Ironman Florida just a few months ago, really, so he's hot. He's one of our hottest guys starting this race, and young, like you said, which means he's going to be aggressive. The one thing that I'm cautious about, though, with Kirill is that he's 80 kilograms, and he's 6'3", and that's a lot of luggage to carry around on this 2-loop hilly bike ride and 2-loop really hilly run.
Yes, I don't know what they're feeding them over in Estonia, but Einar Johansson as well. He's a 200-pounder, or he's a 200-pound plus guy, which is, well, hang on, let me do my math, 80 kilograms, 160 double plus 2. So, yeah, anyway, he's approaching 200 as well. So I don't know if you got all that, ladies and gentlemen, but I am bilingual. I do work in the imperial system and the metric system as well. Okay, we're going to talk about our next guy, Luke Bell from Australia. Luke, his best finish is second in the Bonita Ironman New Zealand to Cameron Brown. Very, very good effort there. Luke's coming here looking for a strong race as well. Very good on the bike and the run.
He's a great all-rounder. I mean, I really like the looks of Luke Bell. He's had so many second-place finishes. And, is this the one where he's going to break through and come in first? He's been top 5 in Hawaii. And I like the fact that he's had some great races early in the season. Like you said, to Cameron Brown at Bonita Ironman New Zealand. That's a March race. Here we are, the 1st of May. This might be when he's hot. He's had some injury over the winter, some unfortunate incidents with some broken bones. So that's always a concern. But, he's light, he's lean, he's tiny. He can get up and down these hills. So I really like the looks of Luke if he's on.
Yes, two broken elbows coming out of winter over here and coming out of summer in Australia. It was a shame to see what happened to him. Okay, Chris McDonald, another Australian. We actually got a chance to catch up with him during the week, and this is what he had to say.
It truly is. The vistas, I guess you call them, just awesome. Like when you're up on the high side of town and you're looking down the valley, that red rock, it's awesome. The sun setting on that. Really, really picturesque place. It's definitely something that grows on you.
Quickly go through the course, all three, swim, bike and run, but in 30 seconds if you can.
Yeah. Swim, it's pretty much the same everywhere. I think it'll be pretty flat, cold, but not too bad. The bike course, everyone's talking about the bike course. I think it's very challenging. I don't think it's any harder than Wisconsin. Maybe a hair, not much. The run course, however, the hardest run course I've ever seen anywhere in the world, and it truly will be about getting through the bike course to get to the run. That'll be the goal. Yeah.
So Chris McDonald, a Ford Ironman Wisconsin and Ford Ironman Louisville champion, looking for a very solid race, and Lisa, he can really motor that bike course.
He's an amazing cyclist, a great athlete, again, a bigger athlete. So, that gives me a little bit of concern on the second lap of the run in particular, but a great athlete, a strong man, and I do believe this is a strong man's course.
Yes, I do too, and look out for Chris to have a very good race out there. Now, Michael Weiss, he comes from a biking pedigree. He was an Austrian Olympian for mountain biking in the 2004 Athens Games, and just decided to switch over to Ironman Triathlon just recently. Had a top 25 in Kona last year, and we caught up with him, and this is what he had to say.
It's a really nice town here. I like downtown. It's very pretty, and the whole scenery, the whole landscape around St. George is awesome. I've never seen something like that, the red rocks of Utah, and it's very unique.
The course here are very, very challenging, I would say. Can you give us a little bit of an insight of what you think about the bike course?
The bike course is really hard because of the climbing and of the winds which can occur, and so it's important to do right pacing and don't push too hard on the first of the two laps. It's sometimes really steep, so it's important to have the right gear, the right cassette on the rear wheel, and maybe also it's good not to use the highest aerodynamic wheels because it can get really windy. It reminded me a little bit of Kona. As I did it in training. So it's one of the hardest Ironman bike courses for sure.
So Michael Weiss grew up as a swimmer in Austria and also running. So when he turned to cycling, the other two disciplines were already there. So Lisa, that's a lethal concoction right there.
That's dangerous. And he has the mind of a champion. We were at the press conference yesterday, and I was asking what is your favorite part of the course, and he said he likes to choose the favorite part of the course to be the difficult one, the one that's going to cause him grief. And that is really the mind of a champion, when you can pick that part that might not be your best part and embrace it. And it seems like that's what he's done, and I see him winning races one day. This might be the day, I don't know.
Yes, and one of our women that knows how to win races is Gina Crawford from New Zealand. She won the Bonita New Zealand Ironman last year in 2009, and this year it went to Joe Lawn. But Gina Crawford is in the race this weekend, and she knows how to swim, bike, and run very, very fast.
She's one tough cookie. And what's interesting is last year she won the Bonita Ironman New Zealand, taking it off of Joe Lawn after several consecutive victories for Joe Lawn.
6 consecutive, that's right.
And that was a huge undertaking, and she went very, very fast. She returned to Ironman New Zealand this year to try to repeat, and she didn't, which means she is hungry. She went back. It's usually after defeat that you go back and you look at your training and what did I do, and she realized that she was pretty overtrained. She was training 30 to 35, 40 hours a week repeatedly, and she took stock. So that second place finish for her at Ironman New Zealand this year was probably one of the best things that could have happened to her. So we may have a very hungry Gina Crawford this Saturday.
Yeah, she's multifaceted, and I tell you what, the classical violinist also has another win at the Ford Ironman Wisconsin. Okay, over to the Ford Ironman Arizona and Lake Placid champion Kate Major from Australia, 3 times third place in the Ford Ironman World Championship in Kona. She knows how to win races as well.
She does. She's gritty. Those 3 top threes at Hawaii Ironman show you that. I've raced with Kate for several years, and you never count her out. When we raced last year at New Orleans 70.3, we went back and forth through the half marathon, and she was just not giving up at all. She was so gritty. There's no conversation happening. She just puts her focus forward and wants to get to that finish line. If Kate's on, she's great in the bike and the run. She's a smaller athlete. She's just going to keep turning those legs over, and I'd like to see her have a great one. I think that she's going to have a good battle with Gina Crawford, though.
Well, one thing's guaranteed, she's going to be a very, very fast runner out there, and look for that as she comes storming into the finish line. Also, Heather Wurtell is in the field, and I'd say, what about our Canadian?
Well, our Canadians, of course, will be very, very strong. And Heather Wurtell, she's been here for 3 weeks. She loves the hills. She won at Coeur d'Alene a couple of years ago, and she loves the course. She's really embraced it. Her challenge is going to be the run. The run has always been her Achilles heel. But if she's focused and she just keeps putting one foot in front of the other, she's the kind of girl that could come off with a very, very good finish in this race. So let's go Canada.
Yeah, there you go. And we had a chance to catch up with another one of our professional women athletes during the week, and this is what she had to say.
Well, it's my first time in St. George, and it's so beautiful that I decided I'm going to get married here, even though I'm not dating anyone right now. But it's so pretty every time I go outside. I love it.
Okay, the race course here, swim at Sand Hollow, which is about 20 miles out of town. But give us a little bit of an insight of the bike and the run courses here.
Well, I've been here, I got here Sunday before the race. The bike course it looks like it'll be pretty challenging. It's all up and down. I've done Umbreman in France, which goes through the French Alps. So compared to that, it's not too bad, but compared to most of the other bike courses on the circuit, on the Ironman circuit, it's going to be one of the more challenging ones.
Well, that's what Smiley Jocelyn had to say about the course, and we also catch up with lots of age group athletes during the week. There's over 2,500 of those athletes that are going to be in the race tomorrow here, and one of those guys that we caught up with was Dave Houston, and he's a 5-time Ironman participant, and he's from St. George, Utah, and this is what he had to say.
I was in the Marine Corps, and we went up to Japan and did the Ironman in 1984. Really enjoyed it. It was a great event. A great organization, and I've been doing them ever since. Of the 4 previous Ironmen that I've done, Japan, Germany, Canada, and California, this has the toughest bike course that I've had to do. It's beautiful scenery, it's a gorgeous area, but it's going to be a tough and challenging course. And I've always been inspired by those older than myself that have done it, and so it's just an accomplishment you want to try and do at least once in a lifetime.
Yes, and that was Dave Houston from St. George, Utah, 60 years old, and I tell you what, he looks great. Okay, the Welchie message for the age group athletes is brought to you by Avon. My message to the athletes is to go out there with a level head and to make sure that you just lay it down the way that you want this race to pan out for yourself. It is a very difficult course. Take it easy on lap 1 of the bike and lap 1 of the run. Save yourself for that second lap in both of those disciplines, and you'll cruise on into the finish line. The weather this weekend is going to be beautiful. 68 to 69 degrees we're expecting out there, Lisa, and I tell you what, no indication of what it is today, but over the weekend it's going to be beautiful. And as we speak, the sun's starting to come out, the wind's starting to die down, so it should be very, very good conditions for these athletes.
Well, we hope it'll be great conditions for the athletes, because it's a difficult course, and certainly, when you throw wind at it and a little bit of chill, that adds just a bit more to the energy requirements. When it's a little colder, you're going to need a few more power bars, power gels, all that kind of stuff. But it just adds more to earning your Ironman MDOT when it's windy or when it's tough out there. I mean, those are the races that you remember. And from being here this week, this is a race to remember. The scenery is beautiful. The people are beautiful. The weather, it changes every minute, really. So it's being prepared for whatever comes at you, and that's what Ironman is really all about.
Yes, it certainly is, and this race will be one of those to remember at the weekend's end when we do get to the finish line Saturday night at midnight. But we'll be kicking off on Ironman.com and UniversalSports.com at 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time out here in St. George, Utah. We hope that you can join us. The show today has been brought to you by Ford. Drive one. For Lisa Bentley, I am Greg Welch saying so long, and we'll see you tomorrow.